I want to leave people with the feeling that they are with us, you know, that we're all together, that whatever it is that you are really passionate about in your life, all you have to do is just work at it a little bit at a time. That's all that I've ever done. That's all that we've done in this project. I don't think that you need to have fame, money, huge success to live a happy life. I think you can choose, you know, acknowledging the privilege that I do have. I can choose, though, to try and be happy in my life, to give things to other people that I think are of value. And so that's what I do with my music. That's the feeling I would like to give people. Hello, Robo.
Hello, Robo.
Welcome to another episode of My Glamorous Life. Oh, my car is full of things. Boiling today, absolutely boiling. But it's all okay, because I'm a porcupine. I'm driving to Rats today. We are going to do a bit of filming. We've got a radio interview, and I've got to drop off all of the hardback lyric books, pick tins, CDs for signing, a few other bits and pieces, badges. Things are moving. It'll all settle down in a minute.
I'm a big fan of this project, and you know, I just it's so great to speak to you both about it. Myself and Rat had a little brief conversation when one of the first singles came out, but it's so lovely to go into more depth and to talk about an album, which is absolutely brilliant. Right, my first question to you is this: how did this happen? How did you get together that you were going to play together and create this band?
That's your one, I think.
So going back 4 years or more, I'd written a bunch of ideas that I'd had down on an acoustic guitar, and I did the ideas with Mr. Miles Hunt, who you're a good friend of as well. And I didn't know what to do with these ideas, and we had email exchanges back and forward about different things and options. And I had been watching Estranged by the Ting Tings, and on the right-hand side was the video that Laura had done for Drown Me Out. And I said to Milo, sent him a link saying, check out this artist. This is absolutely amazing. And he came back and said, Laura, we know Laura. Do you want us to mail her for you? And I quietly said, yes, please. But please tell her I've done some music in the past, but it's quite a while ago. And then the email went, and then now we're over to Laura.
Yeah, so then I got this email from Miles, who I'd been in touch with for a while. Since like 2011 or something, I played a gig with Karina Round. I was singing in her band. There's a whole backstory to that as well. But Miles was at the gig. He was doing a duet with her. And I just remember sitting in the dressing room freaking out because Miles freaking Hunt was like 2 meters away from me. And I was just like, play it cool, play it cool. But huge Wonder Stuff fan when I was a teenager. So then after that gig, I gave him a copy of my album. I only had one out at the time. And then anyway, we've been in touch ever since then. And then when I was a teenager also, I was given a mixtape with Ned's Atomic Dustbin on. So I'm well aware of that band. So when I got this funny meek email about like, oh, it's Rat from Ned's. Not sure if you know who they are. I'm just like, what? Yes, please. So I was just immediately like, yes, please. Little did we know what we were getting ourselves in for either way around. But yeah.
Well, I think why Obeying Robots made my heart sing was because COVID had hit, right? We couldn't be going to gigs. A lot of bands, weren't recording because of all the restrictions and stuff like that. And then out of that, I got sent this song that I absolutely adored. Did the fact that the world was in such a strange place and maybe you couldn't be doing your Penfriend stuff, you couldn't be doing stuff, did that make it a little bit more that you could concentrate a bit more on what Obey Robots became?
No, it
Nope.
didn't. It really didn't. So
No.
it did for the first song did, and that's very heavily influenced. But the Penfriend one album came out before that happened, didn't it? So you were busy with that.
No, so COVID started in March 2020, didn't it?
Yes.
Or arguably before that. But no, I had recently finished my previous solo project, She Makes War, in 2019. And I was actually writing and recording my first Penfriend album through 2019, 2020 and recording it. And I'd started recording everything in my house because I'd previously gone to studios and produced my stuff, but always re-recorded the parts in studios from demos. And I just wanted to just record everything myself. So I was doing all that anyway. And then we met, it was March or April 2019. But I had to finish my record first. That was always the thing. Like, we will do something. We'll do bits alongside that. But I had to finish mine first. So I had finished it like by the end of 2020, and then we could do something. So I think I just remember going to Rat, let's just do a song. Let's just finish one of these songs, because we had a bunch that were like half finished or a bit finished. And to be honest, I was just getting sick of there not being a finished one. And it wasn't anyone's fault. Well, it's probably, if anyone's fault, it was mine. But because he'd already sent me this stuff. But so that Let Us Know was just like, let's have something for people for the end of this awful year. Little did we know there'd be, several more potentially awful years to come. When COVID happened, it's not like I don't have any other job now. I'm very thankful, grateful for that. But that does mean that there was no one furloughing me. I work for myself, so I just had to actually double down on everything, try to get through it and to make enough money to keep paying for things and to keep making music as well. It's been really hard financially, for sure, for me.
Well, I mean, that's the thing as well. And one of what I loved about it is that you were playing bass. You were obviously singing. You'd written songs and stuff like that. And, writing lyrics, because it was such a mad few years, does it affect the environment around you? Does it affect the music or the lyrics that you were coming out with?
Of course. Absolutely. Interestingly to me, whenever someone says interestingly, I'm like, oh, really set the bar high there. So now I deeply regret using that word. For me, I found it interesting that people thought that my solo album Exotic Monsters was about all of this stuff because it came out in 2021, but it wasn't. It was finished before all that. Maybe 2 songs were written during COVID. So this one is my COVID album. This is the one about isolation. Let It Snow's, very, quite literally about all that. There's lots of discussion of isolation but also about hope and how we can help each other out. And so that was all coming into the lyrics. And I never set out to write a particular kind of theme of an album, but it started taking shape, didn't it? And it started having, the songs started relating to each other and having that kind of feeling. So it's much more of a feeling of like togetherness than I've ever written about before. Also isolation, but how to be part of a community. And that's what 1 in 1,000 means, is instead of trying to be 1 in 1,000,000 and be the very best person and the shiniest one, and I'm all the way up there and you idiots are down there, because that's not how I feel about music fans and supporters. It's us all standing together. I don't know that we've come out of that period of time very together as a society, but I know that there was lots of talk about how maybe it could be improved during that time.
I love the, I'm going to call it punkness of it, right? Because it's the, it's the idea of it being recorded at home. It's the idea of it. I watched the video for Porcupine, which you've done. Which listen, 5 years of my life at drama school, I don't think I will ever reach the performance standards that you two did in that video. Let me tell you.
So proud. That's the best thing I've ever made.
That you've got this all together. Do you know what I mean? And it's so good. It's like it's got a real punk feel to it, and it's taking what you've got and creating something amazing.
Even though we're both sat here now for the first time, this is probably only, apart from the video, 6th or 7th time or something, we've actually been in each other's company.
Yeah.
The album.
That's why we're still together, I
That's
think,
why we're still
as a
together.
band.
As a band, yeah, we're still
It's a really
together.
it's a top tip for anyone. Just don't hang out.
Don't hang out with the rest
Can't
of the
ruin
band.
it then. It's done.
And a lot of what we did was remote. It was just passing file sharing back and forward. And there was a very steep learning curve during that period as well, for me, particularly, as to what I was doing. There was a huge period of growing in recording. And then the more comfortable I got sending ideas to Laura, the more odd some of them became as they went across.
Yeah.
There were ideas I'd never normally use, and there was an incident where we needed one song for the album, and I said, I've got 2, but I've just sent you this one. And Laura messaged back saying, well, send me the other one in case you're throwing away something that's good. These are just riffs by this point. There's no song there. It's just my guitar. And that song was one of these days.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's one of my favourites on the album.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it nearly never even made it. And if Laura hadn't have given me the confidence to say, just send it, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My whole thing is about, you have to really nurture creativity and create a space where people feel comfortable. And so I haven't collaborated on an entire album before. I've done bits and pieces with other people. And I've been in situations where I really didn't feel like I was given the space to share my ideas. And I never wanted to be like that. You know, I'm producing this record, but so part of that for me is like allowing that and like encouraging that, because it's both of us speaking. It's not just me. So I was really delighted when you started sending me things. And even just recently, since filming Porcupine, the video, you've never been shy, but you've come out of yourself even more since then.
I think so, yeah.
Like there's so much, it just feels like there's more ease. And it's really wonderful to see that. That's what creativity does. Everyone has it in them. We all have it.
And Rat, I mean, it's been a while since you've been recording.
30 years.
It must have been very exciting that this sort of happened by accident, but in karma, in the stars, you know, stuff like that. It must be really exciting for you.
I keep saying this, there are no words in the dictionary to how I feel about how the album has come, or how we went through the phases of the different songs coming and being built up by Laura, and me just being blown away. And then we got to the first single that was Let It Snow, and that was just insane to hear that. And it went away to be mixed and came back, and this is good. This project is great. Because at the beginning, you don't know how it's going to work. We could have just not got on, or it could have been, don't like that, no, this isn't going to work, or whatever. But I think that was the song that really kicked us into saying, there's those 4 easy words to say. Let's make an album. It's ridiculously easy to say those words. The work that goes in behind it. And that was the song that was, okay, we're going to do this. People like it. It's good. We've got the green light. Let's make an album. And then that was it. And that's been solid for the last couple of years.
So much work.
But that's the thing about it as well, Rat and Laura, is that when fans heard Let It Snow, people immediately thought, whether they be Penfriend fans, whether they be Ned's Atomic Dustbin fans, whether they be people who haven't got a clue from when they heard it, people got very, very excited. You must have loved the reaction that the fans have given to this project.
It's been incredible, honestly, because as someone who wasn't in Ned's Atomic Dustbin, I've been waiting for some people to get very angry by the fact that it's not their favourite singer singing, you know, because this is not affiliated with the band, other than Rat was a member or is a member of Ned's, you know, obviously. But obviously people don't know how things work. They don't know what's connected to what or whatever. I really thought I was going to get a lot of hate, and I was trying to be prepared, but there hasn't been that. There's always some guy on the internet who wants to tell me how I've produced the album wrong. Fine, but that's nothing to do with that. That's a separate issue. That's just what being online is.
I think one of the reasons that I really liked it is that it wasn't like what you've done before. Yeah. It was it was like people just meeting and creating a complete new thing. And I think that's really, really good. You're listening to the Diamond Dave Show here on Total Rock, and I'm honoured, and I do not use those words lightly, honoured to be joined by Obey Robots. Now, speaking of how the album sounded. Chris Sheldon. I know Chris because obviously back in my therapy days, working for therapy, I used to see Chris a lot. And this is a guy who's worked with Foo Fighters, with lots of the biggest things. That's a very, very good person to have to do the mastering. How did that come about?
Well, do you know what? He makes a lovely sandwich as well, Chris Jones. And he bought me a pastry. He's a lovely man.
They're on pastry terms.
We're on pastry terms. It's fantastic. How that came about was I'd been working with someone for a long time who's a very talented mix engineer. I produce my records, my solo records as well. He's great. He was not available to finish this record, which left us in a real lurch at the time. It was pretty catastrophically. It felt catastrophic at the time. And I was so exhausted because I'd been doing all of the sort of home production stuff for, I think it took me pretty much 3 months solid. I thought it was going to take 3 weeks. One of those silly things where your brain tricks you into thinking you do more than you can. I was so exhausted. And then this happened. I was just like, do you know what? I just don't have any energy right now for this. And I left it for a bit because I just don't know any other people really. And I didn't have a backup person because I always was going to work.
That was the kind of touch and go moment that I was waiting for the email that could come from Laura saying, you know what? This just isn't worth it anymore.
But you know what? I'm so freaking stubborn. I'd spent so many hours in my studio putting all the bits on. There's no way I was going to not let it be finished.
Because you're so involved in it. To sort of step back and look at it as a whole. Do you know what I mean by that? You know, when you've written it, you're producing it, you're doing all this. To sort of step back and sort of not become totally obsessed with it, but you know, I thought that'd be quite difficult.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that, but I can do it in a way that I can complete a project and I know when the mixes are right, if that's what you sort of mean. But no, I am completely obsessed with any project I'm working on at the time. It's all encompassing, it's all consuming. Like my house until this morning was full of boxes of merch. They're now in Rat's living room. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so hands-on. Like I am the label as well, so I'm dealing with the fulfillment center and the online shop is run by me and I make my website and it's absolutely ridiculous.
I love that though. I love that. I love that. I think that's just, see, I think that's, it's funny. We were saying to Rat earlier on about, you know, not making records since, led to Atomic Dustbin time, but it's the way the music industry is because, you know, we don't have those, you know, big fancy studios that you go and stay for 3 months sleeping there, blah blah blah. It just doesn't really happen as much now. You know what I mean? It's amazing that you've got that sort of thing. It's why you're so passionate about it.
It's all tied together. It basically comes out of not having the money to do anything and having to learn everything myself over the years, which has now put me in a good position where when Rat and I started talking about making an album, I said, well, I'd love to produce it first of all because I wanted to produce something that wasn't just solo music. Not that just solo music is nothing, but it's just that I think that it's easy to perceive that's easier or something. I don't know. I just wanted to do that, and then we talked about how it could be released. And I mean, I have my own label, I have distribution, I have all the things. So I said, well, I'll just do that. Another easy thing to say.
Oh no, yeah. Oh,
but God. It works, you know. But it all comes from having nothing and trying to make something out of it. It's definitely that scrappy thing of like, well, why should they get to do this, but I don't? So why should they have the funds and stuff and the backing to get in the charts? Why can't I do that? And so that's why we're really gunning for it now. Like it's looking really, really good. And it's all because of music supporters. Yeah. It's not me. I haven't bought all the albums.
I'm going to ask this next one a little bit with bated breath.
Uh-oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are we ever going to be in a situation that we'll hear the songs from this album live?
So we've been talking about this off and on. When we started the project, we had a really long conversation with each other about what we wanted. And one of the ones was, in an ideal world, wouldn't it be great if we could just record our music at home, release it, and do the next one, and the next one, and the next one? You then release the album. We've got a lot of people saying, are you going to play it live? Are you going to do it live? And the answer is, we're never going to say never. That's the main thing. If we do something, it'll be something special or off the wall. And let's just say the porcupine video is the benchmark for off the wall.
That's normal now.
That's normal now. So anything off the wall would be better.
Yeah.
So we would do something and talk about it, and we'd chat to ourselves and say, look, do we want to do this? Do we don't? We're both aware of the amount of effort in doing touring, setting up yourselves, doing everything else yourself. That's another job as well, on top of every other job that's going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot to think about. I'd actually given up touring in 2019. I decided I was really burned out from it personally. Again, solo though, doing all of the stuff, driving, doing the merch, doing everything. It's not a smart way to do it, but it is because it doesn't cost thousands and thousands of pounds. And I hate to be boring and bring up money all the time, but it really is a factor. You know, it's not sustainable to tour. So like Brat's saying, I think if there's something really special we can do. I mean, I try to make everything so accessible. And that's why I really focus on online stuff, because I want everyone to be able to come. And really, you know, we could play in, you know, all the places in England. What about all the people in America and Australia and New Zealand? And what about the people who have children and can't afford to come out? Or the people who don't feel that they have, you know, that they're not safe personally at the gig, or all sorts of things. So I just really would like to make it available to people more. And actually, just playing it to people in venues is not making it particularly accessible.
No.
Right. So there's someone listening, they want to order the album. Where do they go? What do they do? You tell us now.
Just type in obeyrobots.co.uk and you will be forwarded to my beautiful shop. That is where everything is. You can't really get it anywhere else. It's just direct from us. That's how punk we are.
That's as punk rock as you can get it. I like it. And I must say as well, anybody who's listening and maybe anybody who's maybe not heard, you must go to Laura's website. Lots of them, you know, the mailing list, it's like a fan club. You know, you get all the interviews that you've done with, you know, it's brilliant. It's so good. Now, here is this is going to be. This is the difficult question, because we're going to finish with 1 in 1,000, which is, I do believe, the last song on the album. Is that right?
Yeah.
Laura, I want you to tell us about that song.
What do you mean, what it's about and things?
Right. What's the sort of vibe of that song?
I thought this might be the opening song of the album, and then there was going to be a reprise at the end, but then we decided not to do that because we had other things. We wanted to do it differently. I want to leave people with the feeling that they are with us, you know, that we're all together, that whatever it is that you are really passionate about in your life, all you have to do is just work at it a little bit at a time. That's all that I've ever done. That's all that we've done in this project. I don't think that you need to have fame, money, huge success to live a happy life. I think you can choose, you know, acknowledging the privilege that I do have. I can choose, though, to try and, you know, be happy in my life, to give things to other people that I think are of value. And so that's what I do with my music. And that's the feeling I would like to give people with that song. How about you?
Yeah, same, I agree.
Oh, same.
I'm a guitarist.
It's easy to say.
I just play the strings.
I'm home. My car is empty. Today we made 3 videos and did our first interview as a band. It was great. Good day. Very tired. Thank you for watching. Good night.